Imagine living in what many consider Earth's most spectacular landscape, a nation blessed with pristine mountains, crystal waters, and some of the planet's cleanest air. Now imagine choosing to leave it all behind. This isn't fiction. It's the reality facing New Zealand today. Despite ranking among the world's most livable countries, with exceptional healthcare, education, and political stability, something extraordinary is happening. Over 600,000 New Zealanders have abandoned their homeland, representing more than 10% of the entire national population. These aren't refugees fleeing war or disaster, they're skilled professionals voluntarily departing what outsiders perceive as paradise. The exodus rivals emigration rates from conflict zones, creating an economic paradox that challenges everything we understand about migration patterns. The remote reality, geography is destiny. New Zealand's stunning isolation defines both its charm and its challenge. With just 5.3 million inhabitants scattered across islands thousands of kilometers from major trade routes, the nation faces unique economic constraints. This remoteness creates a fundamental disadvantage. Nearly every product or service that could be produced locally can be manufactured more cheaply, at larger scale, and closer to global markets throughout Asia. Consider financial services, typically a lucrative export for developed nations. Why would international businesses choose Auckland when Singapore offers superior connectivity to commercial centers worldwide? Even regional operations gravitate toward Sydney, with its larger market and globally recognized currency. The tyranny of distance isn't merely inconvenient, it fundamentally shapes which industries can viably operate on these islands. Agricultural excellence in a modern economy, yet geography also delivers extraordinary gifts. New Zealand has transformed agriculture from a developing world necessity into a high-tech, high-value export powerhouse. The nation's exceptionally fertile land, abundant water resources, and advanced farming technologies create some of Earth's most productive agricultural operations. Being in the southern hemisphere provides a crucial advantage. Growing off-season produce for massive northern hemisphere markets when supply is scarce and prices peak. However, modern efficiency creates an unexpected problem. Highly mechanized farms require minimal human labor despite their economic value. Well-educated urban New Zealanders aren't queuing for agricultural careers, and automation ensures few such opportunities exist anyway. This leaves the economy increasingly concentrated in a single, problematic sector that dominates everything else: the housing trap. When shelter becomes the economy, half of New Zealand's entire economic output revolves around residential property buying, selling, renting, constructing, financing, and regulating housing. This overwhelming concentration creates a precarious foundation for national prosperity. When so much wealth derives from transferring land ownership rather than creating new value, housing costs inevitably spiral beyond sustainability. Paradoxically, this sparsely populated nation now suffers some of the planet's least affordable real estate. Government interventions have attempted to deflate this bubble, including banning foreign property purchases. Yet this policy excluded Australians, the largest foreign buyer group, due to special bilateral agreements. Wealthy Australians continue acquiring retirement homes and investment properties in scenic locations like Queenstown. Drawn by stunning landscapes without Australia's notorious deadly wildlife, New Zealand property also offers tax advantages, avoiding Australia's substantial stamp duty fees. The opportunity deserved. Why young Kiwis depart. High housing costs alone don't explain the exodus. Affordability actually worsens in Australia, where most emigrants relocate. The real issue is opportunity scarcity. When your economy concentrates on agriculture requiring few workers and property transactions, career options for ambitious professionals become severely limited. Unless you're content working in real estate adjacent services or the limited local sector, advancement opportunities simply don't exist. Brain drain typically affects developing nations, not prosperous democracies. New Zealand's uniqueness lies in its educated workforce gravitating toward opportunities in a different country as naturally as rural populations migrate to cities. Specialized professions, research scientists, arts curators, senior executives require large commercial centers to sustain them. Unfortunately for New Zealand, those centers are predominantly Australian cities like Sydney and Melbourne, not Auckland or Wellington. The Trans-Tasman Highway. Migration without borders. What makes this migration so dramatic is how effortless it becomes. Australia and New Zealand maintain arrangements resembling European Union mobility, allowing citizens to live, work, purchase property, and access education across both nations with minimal restrictions. Culturally and linguistically identical populations face virtually no integration barriers. A New Zealander in Melbourne experiences less friction than EU citizens moving between member states, as language differences and cultural adjustments disappear entirely. Educational opportunities further accelerate this flow. Australian universities offer more places, treating New Zealand students identically to locals for tuition and even providing government loans to qualifying Kiwis. Medical schools, engineering programs, and research institutions draw thousands annually, with many never returning home. This seamless mobility transforms what might be temporary study abroad into permanent relocation, especially when superior career prospects await upon graduation. The revolving door, New Zealand as Australia's gateway. Attempting to replace departed workers, New Zealand actively recruits immigrants, primarily from Asian population centers. Yet this strategy produces an unintended consequence. Many newcomers view New Zealand as a stepping stone rather than a destination. Once they secure citizenship through New Zealand's relatively accessible immigration pathways, they exercise the same rights as native-born Kiwis, including the right to relocate to Australia's larger cities and higher-paying opportunities. This dynamic creates a reputation problem. New Zealand increasingly functions as a backdoor into Australian metropolises, offering easier initial entry before migrants make their intended final move. First-generation citizens naturally feel less attachment to a country where they've spent merely a few years compared to multi-generational families. The result resembles a leaking bucket. Water pours in through immigration but drains out just as quickly toward Australian shores. The path forward: can paradise retain its people? Reversing this trend presents formidable challenges. Yet solutions exist beyond simply restricting mobility with Australia. Politically, such restrictions remain virtually impossible. 10% of New Zealand's population currently resides in Australia and would vigorously oppose policies complicating their lives. The two nations rank among Earth's closest allies, making antagonistic policy shifts diplomatically unthinkable. Moreover, many emigrants eventually return with valuable skills and capital acquired abroad, providing some offsetting benefit. Genuine solutions require making New Zealand more rewarding for young professionals through improved career opportunities and housing affordability. The government maintains relatively low debt-to-GDP ratios, providing fiscal space for transformative investments if political will emerges. Perhaps most importantly, New Zealand possesses something money cannot easily buy: natural beauty, safety, stability, and quality of life that attracts billionaires and retirees worldwide. These intangible advantages, while difficult to quantify economically, represent genuine competitive strengths in an increasingly mobile global workforce. Thank you for watching the World Documentaries. If you found this exploration of New Zealand's migration crisis insightful, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you experienced brain drain in your own country, or considered leaving paradise for opportunity? We'd love to hear your perspective. Join our community to explore more fascinating stories about how geography, economics, and human ambitions shape our world. Your engagement helps us continue creating content that challenges assumptions and reveals the hidden forces driving global change. Until next time, keep questioning everything you thought you knew about paradise.